The night was a tapestry woven with the faint glow of gas lamps and the distant echo of laughter drifting across the waters of Southampton. As the ill-fated ship lay cradled in its berth, the sleek silhouette of the RMS Titanic loomed against the twilight, its massive hull cutting through the air, a modern marvel, resplendent yet ominous in its grandeur. It was a vessel destined to plow through the icy Atlantic like a leviathan, a testament to human ambition and engineering prowess, and yet it was also a harbinger of a darker fate, shrouded in whispers of hubris and destiny. What visions danced in the minds of the 2,224 souls boarding that ship on the eve of April 10, 1912? For some, it was a leap into a future shimmering with hope, a voyage to a new world where the horizon promised prosperity. For others, it was an exhilarating gamble, the chance to taste opulence on a journey laden with risk. But beneath the joyous farewells and the fluttering hopes, a heavy silence hung steadily, as if the universe itself held its breath, waiting for the unfolding of a disaster that had been insidiously scripted long before the ship set sail. In an age pulsating with the fervor of industrial progress, confidence in mankind's ingenuity soared. The Titanic, heralded as the unsinkable ship, reflected the zeitgeist of a society entranced by technological advancement and unyielding faith in modernity. Yet this unwavering belief masked a pivotal question. What thoughts stirred among the engineers and builders as they toiled tirelessly? What silent race with time unfolded in the shipyards, a struggle against the forces of nature veiled with the glimmering promise of glory? As the sun dipped below the horizon, evanescent colors danced upon the water's surface, and yet it was accompanied by an unsettling whisper of fate. One might wonder, what if the Titanic was doomed before it ever graced the ocean? The notion lingers, teasing the intellect and evoking emotions that thread through the fabric of human history, a narrative ripe with ambition wrestling against the raw forces of nature. Gazing back into the past, we wander through the streets of turn-of-the-century Southampton. The air thick with salt and ambition, a vibrant hub of maritime activity. Locals scurry about, prepares for the grandest departure the world had ever known. Yet fame and misfortune mingle here. The deckhands who polish the brass and haul the cargo burdened with stories of their own, tales echoing from the foreshores of Ireland and beyond, threading through the very heart of this mighty liner. During the final days leading up to her maiden voyage, amidst the clinking of glasses in the luxury dining saloons and the hush of longing mothers bidding farewell, the Titanic ascends to its coveted status of pride. But what darkness brewed beneath this polished surface? The engineering marvel, like an ornate chalice, could never fill the depth of what lay below, the human vulnerability within its very heart. As the sharp cold winds rustled through the townsfolk, a subtle urging whispered of an impending parable of hubris, if only the fabric of ambition did not entrap them so. The bustling streets lose their vibrancy at the mention of survival, while class disparities writhe silently beneath the incandescent glow of candlelit dinners within the ship's opulent walls. Here in this floating palace, the rich toast their passage while the less fortunate linger below decks, sharing their meager stories amid the creaking timbers and faded glory. Innocent souls bound by circumstance find themselves at the mercy of fate, each heartbeat resonating against the wall of uncertainty that cloaked them all. Beneath the surface-level splendor lies an intricate tapestry of ambition and desperation, stitched together by a relentless march toward prosperity. As the Titanic edges ever closer to its fateful journey, the world remains blissfully unaware of the precipice upon which it stands. The icy call of the North Atlantic awaits that dramatic night, but even before it meets the water, the whispers mount louder. The accolades poured upon the Titanic mask unsettling truths. The years of labor undergo a testing ground unlike any other. It is not merely metal and craftsmanship, but a human story, a reflection of a world bound in dreams marched toward an inevitable reckoning. Yet here in this palpable atmosphere steeped in superstition and daring, haunting questions begin to intertwine with the ship's haunted odyssey. As passengers clamor for a seat at the table of destiny, are we not all bound to our ambitions? Are we not all titans navigating a treacherous sea of dreams, laden with the possibility of failure? The candle flickers and the shadows deepen, cloaking the unspoken fears lurking in the corners of every nervous heart aboard. At that moment, a deeper truth hovers like mist over the cold waves, a profound uncertainty that every soul, regardless of class or creed, carries as part of their human experience. The questions echo, resonant and relentless. What roads to glory are paved in ambition? What quiet compromises seal the fates of those daring to dream? As midnight approaches, the Titanic, now a symbol of mankind's highest aspirations, readies herself to launch into the waiting expanse. But with each swell and churn of the ocean surfaces, there is something undeniably haunting in the salted air. The ship in all its glory prepares to embark not just on a journey across the vast Atlantic, but into the annals of history, a path replete with the tragedy that would unfold on that fateful night, revealing the treacherous depths of human folly. And so we find ourselves drawn deeper into this intricate web of myths and realities, poised to encounter the heart-wrenching truths that linger just beneath the water's surface. As we gather ourselves for what lies ahead, the Titanic sails forth into uncertain waters, ushering with it not only dreams but the shadow of a reckoning awaiting the world, a catastrophe that would forever alter our understanding of ambition, safety, and the fragility of life itself. The murmurs of nature whisper through the silent alleyways of Southampton as night descends, draping the bustling harbour in a shroud of dreams and ambition. Here, the ocean's breath caresses the weary docks, mingling with the scents of brine and iron, a constant reminder of the journey that lays ahead for those daring enough to board the Grand Titanic. Men, women, and children arrive one by one, each clutching their hopes within their fraying luggage, marking their place in a society deeply divided by class, yet united in a shared pursuit of new beginnings. These transient stories echo a singular, poignant narrative of aspiration that transcends borders and brings together the tender threads of human experience, still flickering with the pulse of anticipation. The backdrop of the early 20th century was a landscape marked not only by advancements in engineering, but also by sweeping social transformations. Europe's great cities swelled with immigrants searching for opportunities, escaping turmoil and desolation. In the hard-scrabble streets of Southampton, every face told the story of countless dreams, from the green pastures of Ireland to the sun-drenched fields of rural England. The Titanic, too, would serve as a bridge between these worlds, a colossal structure sculpted not just from steel, but from lives and aspirations clashing against the granite wall of societal stratifications. For many aboard, it was a passage towards the American dream, a beacon of light illuminating paths obscured by uncertainty. In stark contrast to the jubilant spirits boarding her upper decks, the ship's third-class accommodations held a palpable tension, as families packed together, journeying not only for personal resurgence but for hope, the very essence of existence, the lifeblood of their endeavor. Here life flourished in whispers and shared laughter, a rendezvous of camaraderie that coalesced among newcomers seeking solace even as crushing poverty shadowed them. In the underbelly of the very opulence the Titanic was famed for, a different kind of dream flickered into existence, a dream born not of excess, but resilience, a reminder of the collective human spirit's will to forge a better tomorrow. As layers of history peel back over the weeks leading up to the Titanic's launch, the tension beneath this serene exterior swells, echoing the struggles of the era. The Titanic, designed by the White Star Line not just as a ship, but as an instrument of majesty and conquest over the seas, embodied the fullness of human ambition, yet its creation belied a distressing wave of social inequity. The ship's designers and builders were puppets in a greater play, ensnared by the competitive catch-and-release dynamic that characterized the shipping industry in the early 1900s. Rivalries surged among corporations. The Atlantic became a theater where giants wrestled not just for supremacy, but to etch their names into the narrative of modernity. In this heady arena, the Titanic emerged not solely as a vessel, but as a living paradox, enticing with its luxurious fittings while whispering the rustic truths of toil and struggle concealed within its veins. All around her, at dockyards, tea houses, and sun-bleached sidewalks, one could sense the clock ticking toward an inevitable confrontation with fate. Each clang of metal and each release of steam felt like a heartbeat, echoing the desperate ambition that had propelled this and other monumental endeavors into being. With every passing day, as skilled hands labored under the unyielding weight of expectations, resignation settled like fog upon the dreams of many, consolidating a beautiful unrest few could bear to confront. Dramatic tales of loss and ambition intermingle against the backdrop of burgeoning industrialism, painting a multifaceted portrayal of society where hope and despair coalesced against a horizon tinted with uncertainty. For beneath the gilded facade of the Titanic's grandeur lurked unseen forces, both political and economic, that ultimately braided the destinies of those aboard. As the ship's majestic hull took form, shaping a vessel meant to straddle the lines between earth and ocean, history weaved its subtle threads, binding the lives of people entwined in the pursuit of prestige, manifesting louder than the honking foghorns or the delighted cheer of passengers. Though the ship prepared to embark on that fateful journey, the world outside teetered on the precipice of tumult. Nations were still drawing lines in the oceans of power, and alliances shifted like tides responding to unseen forces. This delicate battleground of diplomacy and ambition echoed within the hearts of sailors and those who watched from shore, reminding everyone that their destinies were written in a text half-formed, an unfinished manuscript marked by both glories and woes. On April 10, 1912, the Titanic, draped like a siren in the fabric of the ongoing narrative of human ambition, slipped from its moorings amidst great fanfare and anticipation. As the ship began to carve through the icy waters toward that vast unknown, the air tingled with unexpressed hopes, a motley assembly of lives embarking on their intertwined odyssey. But the shadows of impending doom loomed, and what was born in the shipyards would echo back the perennial question of human existence. How far could ambition carry us, and at what cost? With the magnitude of this triumph echoing within the chambers of the hearts aboard, as the clocks ticked toward midnight, distant whispers of a looming void beckoned. As waves lapped gently against the Titanic's hull, a pervasive unease began to seep into the collective consciousness, a feeling unarticulated yet inextricably woven into the fabric of this unfolding journey. As celebrations flourished amid the ship's opulent spaces, the specter of ethical quandaries lingered, intertwining with tales of those yearning for a promise that existed just beyond the horizon. Who among these wadding souls could fathom the discordant undercurrents that lay hidden beneath the allure of grandeur? What dreams coexisted alongside the faint echo of despair? The spirits around and within the Titanic shared a profound fragility, born from an unrelenting pursuit of validation while dancing precariously upon the edge of nature's whims. As each moment unfurled, the waves whispered secrets held for centuries, of human ambition writ large against a backdrop of merciless tides. What legends would drown or adapt in the bracing embrace of this tempestuous journey, and what distorted reflections of truth would emerge when the final curtain fell? Within this beautiful, yet deceptively tranquil atmosphere, the anticipation thrumming beneath the surface coalesces into a universal truth, one that would reveal itself in the tragic unfolding of events ahead. The dreamers aboard the Titanic have unwittingly set variables into motion that resonate beyond steel and rivets, a reminder of the fragility of existence, imprinted against the steel hull and the majesty of voyage. As the currents beneath surge, each soul now floats adrift within a swell of uncertainty, where ambition and its shadow rise, wrestling with the very essence of their humanity as they slip deeper into the waiting arms of the ocean's vast embrace. With every swell and crest of the sea, the ocean murmurs forgotten stories, and as the ship silently sails on, it carries with it the quiet anticipation of a convergence, a journey that will irrevocably reshape humanity's understanding of its place within the interplay of fate and ambition. Each whispered prayer and unvoiced dream stirs within the currents of time, drawing the world closer to a moment of cataclysmic transformation, where dreams will clash violently against the icy realities that lurk just beneath the shimmering surface. As the colossal Titanic glided across the surface of the Atlantic, life echoed onboard with rhythms that spoke of human existence in all its myriad hues. Each deck housed tales woven from the fabric of society's very structure, threads of ambition and aspiration intertwined amongst myriad emotions, an intimate panorama of life that was simultaneously luxurious and harrowing in its realities. In the ship's first-class quarters, the air brimmed with laughter and refinement. Ornate chandeliers hung like captured starlight, casting a warm glow upon lavish dining rooms where exquisite meals were served on fine china. Coursing through this opulence were the laughter and clinking of crystal glasses as the social elite mingled. Here men in tailored suits discussed ventures and fortunes, their glances gleaming with ambition, while elegantly clad women adorned in silk gowns exchanged glances of intrigue, weaving their own narratives of rise and rivalry. Beneath the surface, though, a quiet undercurrent of unease ran like a thread through the finest fabrics. For while wealth draped itself in shimmering confidence, an unsettling awareness persisted, echoing the sentiments of dreams yet unrealized, ambitions layered with anxiety. Contrasting sharply to the world of first-class opulence, the third-class cabins nestled below the grand entertainment of upper decks pulsated with a different rhythm. These were the homes of hopeful immigrants and laborers, their simple spaces resonating with unadulterated love, family, and sacrifice. As children laughed and played in their spirited innocence, women exchanged recipes and stories, their voices mixing with the scent of hearty stews simmering on makeshift stoves. By candlelight, families gathered to share tales of the fatherland they left behind, of humble fields where laughter rang through the hay and dreams were born of fertile soil. Simultaneously, the weight of faithful yearning pressed against their hearts, a longing for a life filled with possibilities yet unimagined, casting a nuanced tone of resilience amidst uncertainty. These stark divides in experience illustrated the deep societal rift that characterized the era, one that transcended the very decks of the Titanic. Class differences were palpable. Moments of social interaction were framed by the rigid hierarchies that dictated existence both aboard the ship and beyond. As the ship sliced through the waters, each unit of the Titanic was a microcosm of a world shaped by scope and scale, a world often at odds with the very nature of human connectivity. Across the decks, whispers of religious solace mingled with anxiety and hope, portraying a moral spectrum bustling aboard the grand ship. In the quieter spaces tucked away from the swish of gowns and clattering of plates, immigrants and crew alike sought refuge in communal rituals, moments when hands clasped in shared prayers echoed the heartbeat of humanity. Faith in its various forms imbued these gatherings with a reason to believe, stitching together a community that bridged cultural gaps. Whether it was a prayer in a makeshift chapel, a quiet hymn rising above the tumult of waves, or small tokens placed beneath pillows for protection, each ritual served as a reminder of the spiritual journey underlying this physical one, offering wisdom that transcended language. As the Titanic spooled elegantly across the Atlantic expanse, her presence challenged the very essence and rhythm of the sea. Here voices mingled, some infused with the high-pitched exuberance of the wealthy, buoyant with anticipation, while others bore the timbre of endured struggles, carrying centuries of hopes and heartaches. Daily routines unfurled like the sails of the ship itself, smooth and rhythmic, yet marked by the unpredictable winds of fate. Cabin stewards with their practiced grace navigated the indelible divide, serving dishes dreamt of only by those who had once gazed at the ocean from solid ground, now elevated to indescribable heights, only to carve deeper scars within the fabric of their already fraught physiognomies. Closer to the bow of the ship, the crew bustled about with a sense of purpose, embracing the mundane tasks of life aboard amidst the grandeur that surrounded them. Each individual role contributed to the grand design, a symphony of labor orchestrated to maintain the illusion of serenity, a dance echoing against the steel and wood of the ship's grand hallways. Each crew member bore stories of their own, many drawn from the struggling ports, far removed from the celebration that emerged above. Their lives were defined by duty and reliability, though often stripped of the recognition that mirrored the opulence spilling from first-class soirees. They were the unsung heroes, weaving their own tales as they nestled into the shadows of powerful spirits reveling above, yet never wholly invisible. Daily life aboard the Titanic took on a furious pace, a parallel of spirits utopian in its aspirations and grim in its tacit challenges. It was a living tableau, wherein vibrant textiles and vivid tapestries depicted both the elegance of the journey and the shared malady of longing. Down in the bustling kitchens, the cacophony of knives slicing through lavish cuts of meat and aromas filling the air told stories of those melting away sorrows within hearty broths, the kind from home, simmered with a depth of memory. Hands moved in harmony, a battle against the very theme of waste, the striving to craft something beautiful out of modest ingredients, while in the grand dining halls, the remnants of sumptuous meals glimmered wretchedly in stark contrast. Yet as horizons unfurled in the dimming twilight beyond the stern, the atmosphere shifted, a growing anxiety brewing like fog rolling over the ever-looming waves. Human lives entangled in this dance of hubris, nestled against promises of safety, yet lulled into complacency by the distant hum of the ocean, were unwittingly marked. Memories carried from one port to another intermingled with the spectre of loss. Hopes and fears walked hand in hand, ebbing and flowing away from the periphery, a dulcet theme shimmering on the edge of hearing. This intoxicating blend of emotions spilled out onto the ship's decks, where evening gatherings gave rise to laughter and shared stories in a communal symphony of consciousness. Every glance shared, every frightened smile posed weighty with unspoken truths, concealed yet resolute. These encounters flickered with the vitality of lives emerging and dissolving, illuminated in vibrant color against the muted palette of history. For each life linked aboard this vessel, the fate that intertwined their journeys bore potential for greatness or for tragedy. As such, the Titanic transformed into a vessel of mixed legacies, each traveler a seeker of fortune, yet each faith and hope carefully balanced upon a delicate precipice of impending catastrophe, a grim irony underscoring the veil of everyday normalcy. Unbeknownst to the vast assembly aboard, the words of fate crooned softly through the creaking timbers beneath them, whispering about the looming divide that would soon cut through the veil of mundane encounters, unraveling the illusions spun throughout the troubled surface waters of ambition. The narrative fabric of this moment, rich in emotion yet deeply poignant, lay poised to be rewritten, a grand tale of human longing preparing to yield its truths. Lives intertwined within the sanctuary of the Titanic's embrace thrummed with the pulse of anxious anticipation, moving toward destinies etched in the frozen clutches of the unforgiving ocean. The ship sailed ever onward, the intricacies of human nature woven tightly into the hull, remaining heedless of the emptiness prowling silently beneath its magnificent wake. Whispers of doubt merged with the splendor of currents, and as night melted across the rolling landscape of stars, one could not escape the feeling that, while fate was inching ever closer, human ambition would soon meet the depths of its own vulnerabilities. As the Titanic forged ahead through the cold, vast expanse of the North Atlantic, the larger forces that enveloped this journey remained as murky as the depths beneath her hull. Behind the facade of grandeur and opulence, the ship became a stage where human ambition collided with an evolving set of beliefs about progress, power, and peril. The dawn of the 20th century, bathed in the bright light of industrial advancements, redefined boundaries and unleashed an unquenchable desire for supremacy and success. A new vision of progress thrived amidst the unyielding weight of societal expectations and innovations, shaping the dreams of individuals and nations alike. However, with every technological marvel arose a corresponding impetus to challenge its limitations. The architects of the Titanic, tasked with bringing forth this floating behemoth of human ingenuity, remained buried under immense pressures from powerful shipping magnates austere to surrender their dominion. In their relentless pursuit to outshine competition, they transformed the ship into a symbol of aspiration, a testament to their confidence in modern engineering. An unrecognized irony loomed over this maiden voyage, though for it underscored mankind's struggle against the very nature it sought to conquer. Were these advancements a harbinger of progress, or merely tantalizing illusions weaving a facade of safety? As the Titanic journeyed into the unknown, the currents of societal change swirled around her with a muted aggression, the consequences of an age steeped in hubris beginning to unfurl. For every string of ambition pulled by those who operated the ship, there lay buried the stories of those who quietly realized their own journeys to a new world, those same souls, blind to the specter of tragedy pulsating just below the surface. The voyage offered itself to thousands of hopeful immigrants docked at the ports, setting sail toward dreams that whispered of lives to come. These aspirations were forged in the cacophony of stories exchanged among eager passengers, each holding their narrative close to their chests while casting anxious glances at the expanse ahead. The ocean became a canvas upon which they painted their dreams, wielding tales of love, hardship, and fortitude, a saga of humanity's enduring quest for existence against unyielding tides. And so it was, ensconced within this paradox of aspirations and ambitions, that moments of humanity flickered brightly amidst the looming shadows, binding the diverse cast together on this voyage of hope. But beneath this delicate tapestry of human connection lurked an unsettling void, an ocean teeming with countless unknowns, mirroring the unpredictability of fate itself. As the Titanic surged onward, it left yet another indelible mark on the stage of conflict brewing in the decades leading up to its fateful voyage, a complex narrative woven from the threads of migration, war, and economic exploitation radiating across the globe. The competition between nations, manifested in the rise of maritime power, brought forth waves of colonial ambition that had long reverberated through history. The very ocean the Titanic bravely traversed whispered tales of conquests and the ceaseless hunger for expansion, rendering voyages fraught with both promise and peril. It was no accident that amidst the glamour of the Titanic's launch, echoes of a slowly stirring conflict were felt in the undercurrents of global consciousness. A profound apprehension hung in the air, a sense that the Gilded Age could shatter under the weight of its own extravagance. Economic pressures weighed heavily on the world stage, marked by pockets of unrest in various regions, a clash of ideologies threatening to fracture the tenuous equilibrium. The world, in its pursuit of industry and progress, was wrestling with the specter of class struggle and revolution, with voices clamoring for change heard in every corner. Drinkers in an American saloon, workers in British factories, and agricultural laborers in European fields became part of this unseen narrative, a reminder that the sumptuousness of life aboard the Titanic starkly belied the growing social unrest brewing in lands far removed from its polished decks. As class tensions flared and demands for rights grew louder, ordinary lives began to feel the compressing forces of history pressing upon them, a pressure originating from the very wealth the Titanic was built to showcase. Yet the manifestation of such unrest stirred through rippling ideas called forth by thinkers and activists alike, igniting movements that emerged with urgent promises of reform. These ideologies, fueled by the contradictions of the age, provided emboldened voices that could no longer remain silent. With every unsuitable condition brought to consciousness, the desires for equal representation and social justice surged forth, tendering the notion that all might share in the promise of prosperity and security that shone so brightly over the polished tables in the first-class dining halls aboard the Titanic. Engulfed by this growing tide of human ambition was the emerging realization that safety, however advertised, was perhaps an illusion, the belief that floating on modern marvels could shield one from unavoidable realities. As the Titanic made her way toward New York, so did her crew and passengers usher into their respective societies a dual burden, both the opportunity to start anew and the looming reminders of the world they were leaving behind, the very conflicts that threatened to unravel their achievements. In this juxtaposition of aspiration and tension, the ship became a microcosm, a delicate balance of all that was hoped and feared, resonating with the psychological clashes that paved the way to both individual triumphs and collective tragedies. The narratives entwined aboard the Titanic whispered to the killing frosts of winter that swept through social landscapes, a whispered promise of change caught within the teeth of a brutal storm. As the Titanic continued to navigate the icy waters, the buildup of unseen societal tension drew ever closer, a ticking clock dancing with fate. The ship's inherently flawed design, a product of its time, rushed yet imprudently hailed great, now mirrored the contradictions found within the very systems from which it sprung. Across the decks, a figurative gathering storm brewed, raising the specter of an unforeseen conflict between man's relentless ambition and the might of nature, suggesting that the very technological advancements that propelled society forward could equally lead to its downfall. The day may have been bright, the sail ahead promising, but the consciousness of all aboard pulsated with the knowledge of vulnerability baked deep within every heartbeat, an omen of the shifts about to reshape society entirely. This anticipation gradually settled into a murmur, growing ever louder amongst anxious souls who grappled with the quiet resolve of fate. It was understood implicitly that beneath the layers of ambition, there lay uncertainties and threats unresolved, an equilibrium slowly tipping toward chaos. As the Titanic barreled onward, bold in her journey through the uncharted waters, the tides of change prepared to ebb and flow, a harbinger of transformation in both personal lives and societal constructs. Each wave rolled closer, enveloping them in darkened waters, pulling them toward an ever-approaching reality driven by ambition's heady allure. And so the ship sailed through the night, onward toward unknown shores, not yet comprehending that the tumultuous depths held secrets far more profound than mere reflections upon her glistening surface. Emotions surged within that vessel, mirroring the currents of the sea, a reminder that the very fabric of humanity wore thin in a clarion call marked by the inexplicable fluctuations of uncertainty. In this atmosphere of calculated defiance against fate, the Titanic was so much more than a mere ship. It was a representation of the irreversible change that lay ahead, emblematic of both grandeur and impending tragedy, each heartbeat resonating right to the tender core of the human spirit, unaware of its imminent reckoning. As the Titanic charted her course through the chilling embrace of the North Atlantic, her destiny became enmeshed with the fate of an entire era. This was not merely a journey across the sea, it was a crossing into a reckoning of deep-seated ideals, ambitions, and the continuous struggle within human experience. The ocean that beckoned her forward held secrets and stories, echoing tales of those who had sailed before and those who would come later, eternally entwined in an intricate tapestry woven by time and consequence. In the watchful eyes of the world, the ambitions of those on board the Titanic were cloaked in opulence, yet simmering just beneath that gilded exterior lay the unspoken anxieties gnawing at the hearts of passengers and crew alike. Each tick of the clock toward her rendezvous with destiny mirrored the ticking countdown of societal change rippling beyond the ship's hull. Amidst the lavish banquets and symphonies played in the grand salon, snippets of conversation revealed the swirling unrest felt far and wide, words laden with the burdens of broken dreams and shattered ideals that had begun to manifest in the wake of rapid industrialization and class upheaval. With every passing day, the Titanic floated on borrowed time, navigating the contours of a world where faith in progress had started to fray. Here aboard this majestic vessel, the structures of power had become noticeably shaky. An invisible hand stirred the waters as it reshaped relationships between the privileged elite and the struggling majority. The robust facade of civilization concealed beneath it the soft murmurs of dissent, the yearning for stability muffled by the grandeur surrounding them. And yet the very ocean that carried them was a testament to adaptation, an ever-shifting landscape that relentlessly bore witness to change. Just as the Titanic ventured into the unknown, those who remained rooted on land, the laborers, the workers, the narratives of marginalized lives, plotted their course toward a different shore. They too sought passage, but not upon a grand ocean liner. Instead, they scuttled beneath the shadow of titans fighting for supremacy. Their journeys held no luxury, only hardship and the dream of existence that flickered dimly against the backdrop of a tumultuous society. Yet even as the tides reshaped human landscapes, there lingered a question, a haunting echo that reverberated through the passengers' collective consciousness. What sacrifices had those at the helm made to seize the fleeting dream of prosperity? Economic conditions hung heavy in the air, weighed down by crimson banners of revolution unfurling across continents. As whispers of discontent rippled through society, the Titanic embodied the peaks of ambition and peril, a paradox of success cast on a stage crafted by tranquil waters that promised safety yet concealed vulnerability like a secret long buried. Had the aspirations binding the ship and her journey been forged in noble intentions, or reflected an ego swelling under the weight of unparalleled confidence? With every knot gained in speed, every luxurious layer draped over faux comforts, the gulf between those dining in elegance and others barely scraping a livelihood widened, a disquieting reminder of the fragility of progress. Power came at a cost, and the burden of history heavy on the shoulders of those steering this ambitious ship, an emblem representing all that was exhilarating yet unnervingly precarious. On this poised precipice, the flicker of human vulnerability grew ever more pronounced, reaching out for connection while reflecting upon the chaos of their intertwined fates. As travelers sought meaning through the gaze of one another, their souls became echoes of a distant past yet to be understood. Conversations held laughter, shadows of tears danced in every lighted corner, and within those fleeting exchanges lives converged and diverged, a cyclic movement of connection that, like the tides, unveiled the enduring plight of the human experience. Through these bonds they shared fragments of memory and history, whispers of their true identities concealed beneath grand narratives. They became the threads stitching the diverse array of hopes and dreams, an intricate quilt replete with tangled tailies woven into the skyline of uncertainty. They navigated a world that remained simultaneously close and separated by choice and circumstance, fragmented yet united by a collective humanity clinging to glimmers of hope for the future. However, as booming laughter rippled through shared toasts and hands raised in celebration, the stillness of the ocean masked an impending transformation, the ship itself poised to collide with the jagged truths of reality awaiting beyond the horizon. The impending disaster lingered like a specter, unseen yet palpably felt, as the pieces of this complex puzzle spun closer to their inevitable conclusion. A delicate dance of dualities unfolded within the embrace of ambition and hubris, ushering forth an exploration of identity, survival, and mortality skimming the thin edge of fear and disbelief. At the heart of this burgeoning narrative, the Titanic represented both an exhilarating promise and an unsettling reflection, a bittersweet reminder of the very human contradictions driving society from the depths of passion toward reckoning. As the friction between diverse ambitions intensified, the face of the ship became a canvas upon which the projections of a vulnerable collective identity played out, echoing the fragility of the world they inhabited. It was through this prism of aspiration that time began to weave its inevitable patterns, shifting identities, blurring distinctions between class divisions, and shaping the mutable landscape itself until all that remained were whispers tangled within the sea breeze. The Titanic became a vessel laden with history's weight, each lap and ripple carrying the echoes of dreams crafted by those who dared to ask, "What comes next?" But as the voyage pressed ever onward, the horizon remained veiled in mist, concealing a fateful encounter between human ambition and the profound power of nature. The Titanic drifted into an unknown, its path intertwined with existential dilemmas summoned by the stars, a plight mirrored in the hearts of all those upon her deck. Each heartbeat resonated a question treasuring the inkling of universal vulnerability. How do we navigate the vast sea of existence when the catastrophes of our aspirations loom just out of sight? Time, relentless and unforgiving, shifted toward the moment where human choices and historical currents converged, a delicate meeting inviting sentiment and consequence. And as the white-crested waves crashed against the ship's hull, their rhythmic pounding heralded the approach to a critical juncture, one where life and destiny would intertwine, forever altering the course of their journeys, reshaping the understandings woven into the fabric of humanity itself. As the ship forged ahead, golden ideals faded into the indistinct depths of uncertainty, mirroring a world caught in the throes of transformation. Within those solemn moments echoing against the hallowed wooden decks and finely curated spaces, the human spirit hung in delicate balance, straining against the weight of knowledge, stretching as far as its shimmering hopes would allow, envisioning not merely a refuge from the tempest, but a harmonious confluence in an era rapidly losing coherence. Thus the Titanic continued her voyage, shrouded in paradox, an ode to freedom and a harbinger of sorrow, a poignant reminder that beneath every aspiration lies vulnerability, and amidst every undulating wave memory demands to be embraced, even as each human heartbeat thrummed with fear of what might lie ahead. The ship glided on, each moment a tribute to the intricate tapestry of existence, where stories, emotions, and souls collided like the currents of the sea below, weaving a narrative yet to fully reveal itself, one that would echo across time and memory, a journey unfurling with every knot and wave, a truth hidden beneath the gossamer surface of the ocean. And now, as we step back from the luminous spectacle that once was the Titanic, we find ourselves adrift in the vast sea of historical memory, where the ripples of catastrophe gently lap against the shores of time. In this stillness, the ghosts of those who sailed aboard her linger, whispering tales of ambition, hubris, and aspiration, of a world transformed not merely by the sinking of a ship, but by the ever-echoing consequences of that fateful collision with an iceberg. The legacy of the Titanic stretches far beyond the icy waters that swallowed her. It intertwines with the very fabric of maritime safety, ushering forth profound changes that resonate through time. In the aftermath of her tragic sinking, humanity awoke to the stark realization that its relentless pursuit of progress must be tempered with the wisdom of prudence. The establishment of the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was born out of grief, a necessary response to the vulnerability laid bare before the world, a collective promise emerging from the chaos to guard the lives of those who traverse the boundless ocean. Yet, as we pause to reflect, we cannot dismiss the weight of culture and memory woven around this event. The images of sumptuous dining rooms and opulent salons vanish like morning mist at dawn, leaving behind the indelible marks of countless lives lost. Those who dreamt of new beginnings or lingering happiness, whose hopes disappeared into the depths of a cold Atlantic night, transformed the Titanic from a vessel of dreams to a symbol of humanity's fragility. The ethos embedded within the ship's legacy reverberates along the coasts of our collective consciousness, juxtaposing luxury with loss, pride intertwined with vulnerability. In the ensuing decades, the Titanic metamorphosed into a cultural icon, stitched into the narrations of mass media and embedded within the psyche of a society that craved both remembrance and reconciliation. Documentaries and films portrayed the ship as a paradoxical embodiment of human ambition and folly, an ethereal siren song echoing through generations. The grand tales emerged, depictions of heroism clashing against unrepentant despair, as narratives became infused with emotion, shaping perceptions and breathing life into the silent stories of individuals who once inhabited her decks. Yet the genuine weight of these narratives often lay not in the midst of broad strokes painted by history, but in the quiet, unrecognized echoes of loss and survival that whispered through the passages of time. The forgotten souls who emerged from the frigid waters, grasping not just for breath but for belonging, now inhabit the annals of our awareness, a tribute to resilience where hope flickered even in the face of insurmountable tragedy. Those fortunate enough to survive carried their stories like talismans, symbols of endurance and transformation echoing in their reflections as they were woven into vibrant communities reeling from the loss. Each subsequent generation faced the responsibility of unearthing history from beneath layers constructed by their forebears, a task that demanded reconciling the glory of technological advancements with the moral weight of vulnerability. As society evolved, so too did the lessons learned in the wake of the Titanic's demise, shaping maritime practices and fostering an evolving consciousness regarding safety, stewardship, and humanity itself. Within the ebb and flow of these changing tides lay the truths of our shared existence, an echo of what once was mingling with the fabric of contemporary life. In considering the beautiful, iron-wrought legacy of the Titanic, we cannot ignore the nature of memory itself, ethereal yet persistent as it glides like fog through our modern existence. Each remnant of the ship, the sunken remains, the artifacts raised from the ocean's depths all beckon us to pause and reflect. They implore us to remember the collective heartbeat of those whose aspirations reached for the sky but succumbed in moments of freezing chaos into the dark embrace of the ocean's depths. They remind us of our own inclinations toward ambition, the paradox between the pursuit of greatness and the reality of failure that looms ever close. The Titanic did not merely sink, she prompted humanity to confront its own narrative arc, an exploration through which our understanding of risk, responsibility, and ethics has transformed. Like a necklace of pearls strung through time, each event in history shines softly, inviting reflection on the long shadows cast behind the brilliance of human achievement. In the wake of tragedy, the resilience found in the shadows serves as a reminder that amidst the frailty of existence lies the profound strength of human spirit, where mourning is balanced with remembrance, and where legacy weaves seamlessly into the tapestry of tomorrow's aspirations. As landscapes shifted, the memory of those lost aboard the Titanic did not dissipate but rather flourished, finding voice in traditions and commemorations that traverse generations. Their stories become stories of others, intertwined in the collective memory, a passing warmth that exists long after the fires of history have cooled. Here lies an invitation for the present to engage with the narratives of the past, to unearth the lessons implicit in both grandeur and ruin, engaging not only with what has been lost, but recognizing what may be salvaged from the depths of our shared humanity. For every heart that beat amidst the opulence of the Titanic, a myriad of questions lingers in the silent corridors of remembrance, questions teasing the edges of understanding, prompting us to explore our relationships with ambition, safety, and the inherent vulnerabilities that define the human condition. What echoes remain resonant even now, as we navigate through modern life, entrusting the lineage of ideas passed down through time. And as we gently transition from our examination of the Titanic and her singular haunting journey, we find ourselves contemplating the eternal balance between ambition and humility within our own lives. The ocean continues to churn, reshaping the very land it touches, much like the memories we carry etched upon our hearts, urging us toward reflection as we negotiate our own currents of life. As we draw this journey to a close, let us step back and honor the stories of those who came before, their voices still entwined in the seas of history, a soft whisper beckoning us to remember, to learn, and to tread carefully into the horizon. For as we navigate our paths forward, we must remain vigilant in the knowledge that within us there lies an enduring echo of humanity, fragile yet resilient, forever reaching for the light, living amidst the shadows, and returning to the waves silently, calmly, eternally. Let us embrace this quiet moment of reflection, where the Titanic lives on, not merely as a story of tragedy, but as a testament to the legacies crafted through love, loss, and the quiet persistence of the human spirit across time. In this solemn space, we remain forever reminded that the past, though it may recede into silence, never truly vanishes. It only waits patiently to be remembered, cradled by the gentle embrace of the winds that sweep across the open sea.